Okay, so look, I've been meaning to talk about Stardust Memory for like a week now, maybe two, 1.5, something like that. It's been a bit since I finished the show, and I've had notes ready to go for a while. But here's the thing, I don't really care enough about Stardust Memory to really sit down and like talk about it. I don't know how long it would be to actually go through all my notes. So this is just kind of more of an off the cuff thing. I thought it was okay for most of it. And then once I got to the final like 2, 3 episodes, like yeah, this just ain't doing it for me, Chief. As far as I am concerned, Gundam is still like 0 for 3 after I've watched War in the Pocket. So that was 8th MS team, which I didn't care for, G Quux, which I think is actively pretty bad, and then this one, which is for most of it, like it's fine. It just didn't quite click. But man, I did not care for the last few episodes. But I want to say, before I say anything else about Stardust Memory, it might be the best looking Gundam show I've seen. I think it looks incredible. I think the soundtrack is really good too. I'm also pretty big on the mech designs. Like Unit 1, I think is okay. I love Unit 2. Just this big chunky boy with this big chunky like nuke shooting gun. I just called him Harold. And Clay looked at me, he's like, Harold, why? So I just showed him a picture of Harold from Hey Arnold. It's like, that's Harold. He's just a big, good boy. And then Unit 3 is weird, man. It is just an absolute unit. The genuine, like, the fights and the animation and the effects, I think are so good throughout the show. And I love these designs. I don't remember the name of Gato's second mech, but the like Mr. Grabby Hands thing, I kind of love that one too. Like in terms of the visuals, just absolutely excels. I think the soundtrack is really good. I think like both openings slap, the ending song slap, the just overall score is really great. I'm like, all right, give me a really good story for me to get into, and I feel like it's so close. Or I guess I'll say this: I think the story is pretty good. You know, this is Zeon lost the war, but there's people who are still fighting it, who are like, hey, you know, I guess it's like a Zeon will rise again kind of thing. And Gato reminds me of, what's his name? I think it's like Yukio Mishima, I believe, who is this Japanese author who I think it was like he tried to incite a coup. Like I saw a movie about him. I don't remember if it was like a whole documentary or if it was just like a fictionalization. I think it was. But it was about him trying to overthrow the government and how it didn't work. But this is a man who still very much believed in like the imperialist ideals and such. Like how Gato was always talking about like the ideals of Zeon, the ideals of Zeon. What I think of when I think of the ideals of Zeon, it's about freedom, independence, and it's about progress. But hearing this guy spout about, the ideals of Zeon when he's firing a nuke or attempting a colony drop, I'm like, this might be closer to what the ideals of Zeon actually are. Because isn't this basically what started the 1-year war? Wasn't it a colony drop? And I think about Double Zeta, I'm like, Hamon, like, I'm remembering what Hamon Karn did in Dublin. And I'm remembering the entirety of Char's counterattack. And also what happened in Australia during Unicorn. No, these are the ideals of Zeon, aren't they? Just, this is what I want, and I will kill as many people as it takes to get my point across. That is what Zeon is all about. And from my own personal perspective, having the idea of this soldier who is still carrying the weight of that war, and like, I'm still fighting, and I lost so many people that day, and I'm still going for me, but I'm mostly still going for them. And I'm gonna do some things. and they are not going to be good things. Like, there's a line from Firefly. I don't remember if it's from it is from Serenity, I believe, where the operative is saying, he's like, I'm trying to create, like, this perfect world without sin. I don't have a place in it. I don't get to see that world. But I sleep at night, like, I'm able to sleep at night knowing that I'm, like, making that world in the first place. Like, that kind of character is super interesting to me. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't want to say I sympathize with Gato, especially once you get the stuff that he's doing, but I really like that idea of the character, but once Operation Stardust, like, really gets going, like, I can't really sympathize with this guy anymore. But the way the show is written, at least from my perspective, I feel like I'm supposed to, which just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And, like, I was talking about how I like the idea of the story, and part of that is what Gato's doing, but also just this Gundam unit tracking the guy who stole their other Gundam, trying to get it back, following him into space, because it's Gundam, of course they're going to go to space, and, like, having all these space battles, and trying to stop a war crime from happening. That is kind of classic Gundam, and I think that's really good. The problem is, I did not care for Uraki, like, almost at all. I think the idea of, having this, like, fresh face, wet behind the ears pilot, trying to grow as both a soldier and a man, is something that works. You see him getting better as a pilot, you see him trying to bond with his unit, you see the relationship with Nina, both as two people kind of geeking out over the Gundam, but also, trying to get a romance and relationship going. But some of the problems are, well, when it comes to the unit, it feels like after, like, episode 3 or 4, there's not a lot of scenes of him interacting with, like, the newer guys in the unit. Building that relationship, building that bond. Keith kind of stopped. Was that his name? I think it was his name. The fact that I'm not 100% says a lot. It was like he kind of stopped being a character after a while. The chemistry with Nina, to me, felt almost non-existent. And I almost think that's kind of the point. Is, Nina kind of keeps waiting for him to make that move and to take that next step. But he just can't do it, even though, there's all these neon signs going like, hey, ask her. Like, I think it's genuinely one of the funniest parts in the series is, he's got these tickets in his pocket to ask her out on a date. She sees the tickets and then gets, like, really excited that he's going to ask her out. And it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to be free, blah, 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 blah. And then he just doesn't take the bait and she gets so mad. Like, that's really funny and really entertaining. But it just kind of underscores that problem. Let me talk about Nina for a second. In the first couple episodes, I thought she was going to be one of my favorite characters in the series. It was like, I really like her. Just the idea of this, like, this Gundam engineer who is really close to her machine. It is her pride and joy. One of them got stolen. She's pissed. She wants to recover it. You've got all of these, other soldiers who are really interested in her, and she does not care. She's like, this is who I am married to, and it is my machine. I do not care for humans. I thought that was really entertaining, and I kind of wanted to see how that went. And, seeing this person, because, like, seeing her let down her walls and develop a romantic relationship is something that could be really interesting. And if they don't go that route, and she and Uraki just form, like, a business relationship as the pilot and the engineer, that could be really cool too. But, like I said, I just never really felt their chemistry. There's also the reveal really late in the show that she and Gato used to be in a relationship, when she, like, clearly sees him in the first episode and doesn't recognize him. And there's a lot of plot holes with that. I don't hate the idea, aside from the plot hole aspect, because to me it kind of fills in some of the blanks. Like, arguably, this is why Nina is so obsessed with the Gundam. It is because she used to date a pilot. It's because she had someone who thought that his battles and his war was more important than her, so he left her for that. And maybe this is a thing where working on a Gundam, working on a mobile suit, helps her feel closer to him, and that's why she's so into it. Maybe it's just because I don't want to have relationships anymore because I've been hurt, so she is just so focused on her work. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I can also see it as like that's why she has those moments where she's really hard on Uraki, because she knows what can happen to a pilot when they go too far, and she doesn't want that to happen to him. It might also just be, I've had someone that I thought I was important to who just left me, and I don't want the same thing to happen again. So I need you to prove to me that you really care about me. And he's just not able to do it. I find that interesting. The execution never really clicked. And then you get to the end of the show where she chooses Gato over Uraki, which on its own, I wouldn't have a huge problem with. It's like, look, dude, you had your chances, you blew it. But by siding with Gato, she's helping with Operation Stardust, which is a colony drop. Like, I can't sympathize with you here, Nina. Like, as much as I would like to, I just can't. Like, this is going way too far. And then, the way the series ends with Uraki getting court-martialed, but now getting released a year later, and Nina's there waiting for him. And it makes it seem like it's this romantic thing, like, she's been waiting, and they get to be together now, and it's great. I'm like, no, it's not. She betrayed him. She 100% betrayed him, went for the other guy, who then abandoned her again, and then died. Uraki's the silver medal. No, it's like, this does not feel like a good, it feels like it's presented as such. I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. The ending really left a bad taste in my mouth. Another scene that does, because it just didn't work for me, is the way, was it Lieutenant or Captain? I don't remember how Burning dies. I don't mind the idea of, his mobile suit got injured during a fight. The extent of the damage wasn't really known at the time, and so as they're coming back to the ship, and they're kind of chilling, kind of taking their time, you see, that damage, no, this is a problem, you need to get back, and then, the mobile suit ends up exploding. That's not a bad idea, and that could be, a really tragic thing. But number one, that entire episode, his death flags were waving in the wind. It was, I think there was, several times where he's like, oh yeah, talking about his wife, and, we've been separated, we haven't seen each other in a long time, but, maybe we could get things figured out, and he gets mail from his wife that he doesn't see yet. He'll see it when he gets back. He finds the plans to Operation Stardust, and, oh, guys, this is crazy. Let me tell you about what's going to happen. Right as he blows up. They keep, as they're flying in, they just kind of keep zooming in on this one part of his mobile suit and, showing the inner workings getting messed up. And it just made me think of Final Destination. And this is coming from someone who really enjoyed watching the Final Destination movies earlier this year. I'm like, I don't know. In Final Destination, this would be great. In Gundam, this just feels silly. They're really, really, hammering it in that this dude's gonna die. Isn't this gonna be so tragic? It's and I liked the dude. I don't want to see him go. But it got to the point where it stopped being man, this is really sad, and you're just kind of get on with it already. I feel though, with all the criticisms I have given, again, I have to highlight the show looks incredible. The fights look amazing, especially the final fight between Unit 1 and Herald, and was it episode 10 or 11, was really, really cool and really, really fun. But one part I really want to talk about is it's this chunk in the middle. I think it's like 2 episodes. I don't remember exactly which ones. I want to say 6 and 7. That might be right. It might be wrong. Where Uraki takes the Gundam out into space, and he thought he had the numbers right, and Nina's telling him, no, you don't, but is being a little too mean to him about it, and Uraki just kind of gets a little too cocky, takes it out, and he gets his ass beat, and like the Gundam gets really badly damaged. So he comes back, the Gundam is messed up, his pride is broken, and now he feels like I have messed up my relationship with Nina because I did something, like I kind of went behind her back to do this, like she saw me do it, but like I feel like I betrayed our trust and I broke her favorite toy. And you have like some of the other soldiers like really nagging on him, like, hey man, how does it feel to suck? And like he goes out and just kind of takes a walk to clear his head, but because he's a Federation soldier in space, he just gets assaulted, gets beat up, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. And then he meets my guy Kelly, they hang out for a bit, and he helps Kelly repair like this old mobile suit, and then he learns Kelly is an enemy soldier, or like a former soldier, and if I finish fixing this, I'm probably going to have to fight him. And Uraki fixes it anyway. And on the one hand, I absolutely hate that, because I'm like, that's just a bad idea. Like, I don't know, could you get court-martialed for that? And well, he does later get court-martialed. Like, was that because of what he was doing during Stardust? Was it because of the Kelly thing? Was it both? I'm not really sure. I'm like, this might be light treason. I don't know. But it's kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said Uraki's story, although it didn't quite work for me, feels like it is supposed to be, here is his growth as a soldier and his growth as a man. And part of that is the relationship with Nina, but part of it is this moment of him saying, everything went wrong. I made every bad decision, and now I'm just getting kicked while I'm down. Do I want to keep going, or do I want to give up? And he has, like, he talks to Kelly about things. Kelly punches him a few times. It's Gundam. Like, it's, I want to say, like, it's a good Gundam show when people get punched because Zeta is peak. I'm like, look, I didn't particularly care for Stardust, but people definitely get punched. But he still decides, even though this is not a good idea, I'm still going to see it through because that's important to me. What I am doing now, like with the Gundam chase and going after Gato, this is difficult. This is hard. And I'm getting kicked while I'm down, and I am so close to giving up. But that is not the kind of man I want to be. So this is something that might not be the best idea, but I'm going to see it through because that's the kind of person I want to be. I do like that a lot. And just the overall tragedy of Kelly's story, I think, is really good. It's like, to me, that's what I watch Gundam for. Like, just stuff like that. So, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. Maybe there were other things in my notes I wanted to address. But, like, I don't want to be here for, like, 30 minutes or so talking about Stardust Memory. I think that's kind of it. So, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.